Okay, Lindsay, how are you?
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You you look more amazing before. So how many years ago you and I we worked together? You are my fitness major before, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's got to be at least 13 to 14 years because my oldest daughter is 13 this year and I had no babies when I worked with you.
Yeah. So you did like amazing. Like what did you do before? You did like triathlon or what? Okay, can you introduce my followers who you are, please?
Yes, absolutely. All right. So my name is Lindsay Hack, and as we said, we worked together years and years and years ago. I've been in the fitness and in health industry for about 20 years. When I met, we were just I was just kind of getting started, to be honest. I had just been certified as a personal trainer. I had finished my Bachelor of Science of Nutritional Sciences. I was never fit. I was never active. That wasn't kind of my background at all. But when I got back from traveling, I gained a ton of weight and I was unhappy. And I decided I really wanted to do something for me. So I started running. And that's a very easy thing to say because I did nothing but walk most of it because we all know how hard running actually is. And I started enjoying it. I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could from it. So I worked and learned and did all these things. And all of a sudden, I realized that I loved helping people answer questions and talk to them about fitness. And so I went back to school, nutritional sciences, got my certification for a personal trainer, started at Good Life part time while I was back in university, and kind of moved from there. So went to fitness manager, and obviously met with you. I moved to Calgary in I don't even know 2007. Between 2007 and 2013 or 14, I moved another 7 times, had 2 babies, brought my business online, but had just absolutely an amazing journey along the way. I have got 2 businesses. I run with one with my husband. I run one with my business partner who lives in Canada, and we've had so much fun working with different types of people. About 4.5, almost 5 years ago, after my final move and saying goodbye to my clients for the fifth and sixth time, I decided I wanted to bring my business online. So back then, it was very unusual. Nobody really knew what they were doing. How the heck do you bring fitness and wellness online? I didn't know, but I knew I wanted to do it. So I hired a business coach. And I started off with just a signature program where we talked and did like group coaching. And then 4.5 years ago, I brought on the not so unique anymore, but at that time, very unique online live and interactive group classes, which is kind of like group personal training or fitness class you'd see at a gym, but like on Zoom. So everybody was all over the world. We now have members in New Zealand, Australia, the UK, Canada, the US, and we bring them all together to get their fitness done. I have found that my biggest passion with all of this is that I combine meals, movement, and mindset to really transform the person from the inside out. Back in 2012, I moved to Australia with my family. I had to redo all my certifications with the Australian Fitness Network, and they combined the two of them. And I had that moment of like, oh my gosh, this is like the missing piece. So now I work with nutrition, I work with fitness, I work with mindset. We all try to get that kind of full transformation from the inside out. I mostly work with mothers who, really don't necessarily think that they have the confidence to then bring that down to their daughters. A few years ago, I read a quote that still to this day gives me chills that said that 9-year-old girls have the most confidence they do at 9, and it decreases every year after that. And I thought, we got to do better. My daughter at the time was almost 9, but we have to love ourselves first before we can give that to our children. So I really focus on women and helping them transform and truly love who they are. We are what I call habit coaches because I truly think it's the baby habits that work us step to step forward. My husband and I do our business, we work it well. In 2018, I managed to retire him from his corporate world. We got the 2 dogs, the 2 kids, jumped in a minivan and drove all the way to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which is where we live currently. So we've been here for 3 years, teaching, training online the entire time through the pandemic. Obviously, when everybody had to start pivoting, we had a lot of people reach out because we already had the tools in place and we had been online for so long. So we did some business coaching along the way, but it's been an absolute whirlwind. I'm blessed every day to say that I still work and love this industry more than life itself. And business is great and we get to touch people all over the world. And, time zone's crazy and life is crazy, but it is the best crazy that I could ever ask for.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Sounds very exciting. I think one of the reasons you are so successful, I think you are walk to talk. You are so fit and healthy and happy. So I'm curious, what did you do your first and second your pregnancy, like nutrition and training and everything? I'm curious.
Yeah. So when I first got pregnant, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, like any first time pregnant person. So of course, what do I do as a fitness professional? I go and get pre and postnatal certified. I learn as much as I possibly can. I still worked out with a trainer. I still ate as best I could. I was actually really sick for my first pregnancy. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I still gained 75 pounds. And at the time, I thought it was the worst thing in the whole wide world because I still struggled, like most women, with gaining weight. And it was, the biggest piece was 6 months in, I was already at what they say the average weight gain is. And I was so far away still from having baby. And so it was a hard time. And I think many women have this idea, especially now with celebrities flaunting how beautiful they can be when they get pregnant. And, I gained a lot of weight and it was really hard. I mean, especially I felt like coming from the fitness industry. After the fact, I didn't lose like that. I wasn't in my pre-pregnancy clothes within seconds. It didn't happen nearly as well as it shows in the movies. And that was also hard. But I was really big into triathlon and Ironmans. And so I jumped right back into another Ironman training. So at 14 months, my daughter was 14 months when I did my next Ironman. It was amazingly hard, I'm not going to lie, spending time with her, spending time with myself. But it was also a lot to do with finding me again and not just being mom. I wanted to be who I was. Second pregnancy came along. I did hardly any of those things because I figured, I still ran, I still taught spin classes. I did some of the things that I was supposed to, but I figured if I did all the right things before and gained 75 pounds, what happens if I do all the wrong things this time? And I only gained 20 pounds. So I think it really has to do with the baby and what they need at the time. Losing the weight after baby number 2 was a lot easier. I actually seem to be a little bit more switched compared to what a lot of my clients are. They find after baby number 2, they can't seem to get the weight off. But it was always about doing what I could do for me and my body. And so it was getting out and walking when I first, was allowed to. It was doing some strength training. I taught spin classes and exercise classes throughout the whole thing. So I was able to kind of get back into it pretty quickly from a fitness perspective, but my body didn't always respond the way I wanted it to right away. And I mean, you're dealing with hormones, you're dealing with, after baby. And I mean, it's a pretty intense process with baby, but I think as long as you continually try to do what's best for you and what's best for baby, you will have success along the way. But finding somebody who you can work with or work beside is a really key because, I felt alone a lot of the time because I didn't know anybody who was pregnant. I didn't know any other fitness professionals who were pregnant. And so I was very, very isolated in that. And that was hard. But yeah, and even now, my kids, they're 13 and 11. I have no idea how that happened, but they just think fitness is fun. They see, their dad and I run. They see us do our fitness online. They see us working with our clients. We eat well, we drink water, we very rarely drink alcohol. And that's just the norm. I mean, we're not perfect, but it's become part of their world. So, let's go for a rollerblade as a family. Let's, go for a walk. Let's, we're going away on vacation, let's try the fitness class in the pool. And that just becomes part of their world because we've always kind of been there. My daughter, has been to more triathlon races than I think most adults have, so they've always been there to support us and be a part of that. And I think that makes a huge difference. And along the way, their love for fitness, their love for eating well, and their love for, loving themselves continues with them. So I think that's the key.
Wow, amazing. Sounds very exciting. So what are the top 3 to 5 things you probably did, I think, your first and second pregnancy, like movement and nutrition, do you think? What are the top 3 to 5 things differently? So you gain only 20 pounds?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the very first thing is don't be afraid to keep moving. A lot of people get scared and they think, "Oh, I'm pregnant, so I shouldn't do any exercise." That's actually not true. There's been scientific research out there that basically says as long as you're listening to your body, and everybody is different. You know, there are professional marathon runners who ran marathons during their pregnancy. Now, I was not a professional marathon runner, so I wouldn't expect to be able to run that. Just like if somebody had only been walking and then they got pregnant, you know, they're not going to go out and start running marathons. So we always have to listen to where we are in our current life, and then the pregnancy comes along. But, you know, as long as we're listening to making sure that the body temperature isn't skyrocketing, you know, if it's July and you're out running and you're, you know, red in the face, well, think how much, you know, the bun in the oven is feeling that. So we always have to be cautious of that. But eating well was a huge one. I mean, everything that you eat definitely gets released into the baby. And so, you know, when you're pregnant, you sometimes have crazy cravings. And I was, as I said, really sick through mine. So I tended to throw up a lot. So I would be very wary of what I was eating to make sure I wasn't throwing up gross stuff. But really thinking about baby, not just about yourself, was a key, because it comes down to the more water you drink, the more water baby gets, the more sleep you get, the more sleep baby gets. And that is what it comes down to. And for us as moms, I think especially, and women for sure, is that when we're thinking about somebody else, we tend to be more okay to do those things than we're sometimes thinking about ourselves only. So focusing on the things that you do on, we recommend to everybody, right? Eat well, move well, think well. We do recommend that for everybody. But then when you're pregnant, you just have to really enforce the fact that it's not just you anymore. You are looking after somebody already, even though they're not out. And then after the fact, making sure you still look after yourself. A lot of women tend to lose themselves completely in motherhood. And while I've been there and I totally understand it, it plays a huge role in our mental state, right? Getting out, going for a walk. You can bring baby along. I have taught so many baby and me classes where babies are sitting on their fronts and the moms are doing their exercise with baby or with the stroller. There are so many possibilities to get moving. We don't need to stop. It's probably the worst thing we can do. And then as the kids get older, they love it. They play. I mean, we love to play with our kids. Their play is play. Ours is like, holy, this is hard, you know, skipping and running and jumping and playing on the monkey bars. I mean, for us adults, that's hard work. So we're always exercising and always moving with our children. You got to make it fun. You got to have fun with it, or it's just not going to be nearly as exciting when you want to go and do it.
That's right. That's right. So, do you open your weight to public or not? Body
Do
weight.
I open my body weight? Oh, me? Yeah, I'm an open book.
So what was your weight before your pregnancy, and then so after you gained 75, and then how quickly you lost that 75 pounds? How many months? And then how quickly you gained 20 pounds your second pregnancy, and then what's your weight right now? Just curious.
Yeah. Okay. So I probably went into my first pregnancy almost as low as I have been in my life to date. So I was about 135 pounds. That was kind of what I went into my pregnancy at. So doing the math, I hit that 200 mark. And for some people, that is maybe their norm. But for somebody who is not that, it was a really, really big shock for me. So then for me to actually lose all that weight, I got pregnant within, 15 months of my first pregnancy. So I probably lost the weight within a 12 to 14 month period. And keep in mind, I was training for an Ironman. We're talking running, biking, swimming. So I actually lost the weight very slowly for what, you know, I was outputting. Then I gained obviously the 20 pounds with my second daughter, and that came off pretty quickly. I have been, as most women, up and down over the last, as I said, 13 years. I have been too low. You know, when that happens, you lose your period. There's not a good place. I was not in a good health space there either. And now I sit about 140, and I'm pretty happy with that. You know, I'm always looking to do a few new things. Like I'm really trying to build on my back muscles right now. And so there's always something I'm reaching towards. But for me, the scale has never been what defines who I am. At the time when I was pregnant and I gained that 75 pounds, it did define me, and it almost ruined me in terms of my mental space. So I've been very cautious to, work with measurements, work with clothing sizes, work with how great I feel, how many push-ups I can do, what exercises I really want to conquer, where the weight becomes more of a second and a third thing for me. So I'm not as focused on that. And I say 140 because I'm not going to lie. If I said to you, I haven't probably weighed myself officially in years. So I just know based on how I look and how I feel, that would be gauging where I am. But the scale does not play a huge role in my world, mostly because I have daughters that I don't want them to spend time on the scale. And because I feel the best I have felt in years. And I mean, I'll be 44 this year, and I don't think I feel old. I have so much more still to come. I have big things still to do with me and my body, and so the weight is just this much of all of that.
Yeah, you look amazing. You look exactly same, or even more. You have more energy than 13, 14 years ago. Like, amazing job. How I know I exercise, eating good to maintain a healthy body. I know how hard it is to maintain. Like, amazing. So what is your morning routine, and then your training style? How many times a week you train, and then when do you train, and how long you train, and then what type of exercise you do? Like your training, I want to learn. Like, what do you what do you
Well,
do?
I am actually a very early morning riser, not by choice. I'm not going to lie. I don't love mornings, but I've created our schedule for our members that include 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. classes. So I get up and I teach those strictly so I can get my workout done and out of the way. Because even though I don't love mornings, I love not having to have excuses by the end of the day to not want to work out. So I teach 8 classes a week. And that sounds like a lot, but it's a combination of core classes, strength training, cardio. Some of them are half an hour, some of them are 50 minutes. So it's not extreme. I've actually take 2 full rest days off. And I mean, like, sit my butt on the sofa and, maybe go for a walk or a rollerblade with my daughter, but I don't do any exercise for 2 days. So I, in essence, working out 5 days a week. When I do my workouts in the morning, I get up, I do my workouts, I have a snack, I train clients in the morning as well. So I drink my water. I don't drink coffee, but that's not because of any reason other than I don't like it. I never have. I do drink some tea, so I get some caffeine that way. I take multivitamins most days. I say not all days because I'm not perfect. I eat well 80% of the time, and 20% of the time I don't. And I'll have, like, my daughter's birthday party today, so we'll have some cake and we'll have some chips, and I will happily enjoy those and be okay with it. And for the most part, for me, sleep is my biggest piece that I struggle with the most, because I get up so early, and as much as I would like to be in bed by 9 p.m., I'm not always, and so I nap often. When you wake up that early, I truly believe taking even a 20-minute power nap throughout the day. I pretty much do that 5 days a week. Sometimes it's longer, but I find that makes a huge difference when you're lacking some of the sleep in the evenings, kind of overnight. And then with my kids, I don't always get a perfect night's sleep because they sometimes need me, or what have you. But yeah, it's really, I have been up here in the too much zone, and I have been down here in the not enough zone. And so what I've found over the last 3 years is that for me, doing this and being pretty consistent and having those rests, really specifically focusing on those rest days, getting the sleep in, adding the naps into it. But yeah, I feel great. As I said, I do cardio, I do upper body strength, lower body strength, core work. I lack a little bit on, like, the flexibility yoga style. I would like to do a little bit more of that, but we're always striving for something a little bit more, right? So that's my next goal, is to get to that level.
Yeah, one of the most amazing 2 things I've been practicing past 2 years is yoga and meditation. I practice every single day. It changed my life. Like, my body moving so much better, no pain. Like, I love it. So can you give me some example? What's your nutrition like? Like, how many times a day do you eat? Typical day? Yeah, give me some example. What do you eat? Like, what time? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are very blessed to live in Mexico, which means I get fruit and vegetables fresh all year long. We have a mango tree in our backyard. Like, I can't complain about that. So we definitely have a very fresh food focus. We also live by the ocean, so seafood and salmon and oysters and those type of things are aplenty. So I won't lie that that becomes part of our mostly our staples. A lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, seafood, and lean meats. Again, occasionally we'll have, I'm not a huge pasta fan. I'm not a huge bread fan. Again, it's like coffee. I just never really loved it. Rice, I'll have. Overall, I eat usual like breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner. And then if I'm hungry before I go to bed, I'll have another snack. I don't necessarily limit calories, and I'm not a huge meal plan macro counter. I don't do a lot of that. I do it much more on if I'm hungry, how do I feel. I definitely spend a lot of time focusing on my water. That I think is one thing that doesn't come naturally to me. So I'm constantly like, where's my water bottle? Oh, I need to drink my water bottle. And so the other things, I feel like the eating, I'll have eggs, with some turkey bacon, with some tomatoes, that kind of thing, avocado, which we have everywhere in the morning. I love, love, love avocado. For snack, I might have some, Greek yogurt with protein powder, some berries on top. Lunch, we usually do a salad with salmon or asparagus, that kind of thing. Snack like apples with peanut butter. And then dinner, it really ranges. We're really big right now into these poke bowl salads, which is like salad and shrimp and salmon and pineapple and watermelon, and mix it all. Oh my gosh, they're so delicious. But I never feel like we don't eat. But here's the thing. One of my unique pieces of who I am is that I am very lazy in the kitchen. I hate to cook. I hate grocery shopping. I hate meal prepping. So for me, it always has to be easy. So easy cooking. I don't do recipes that have, 600 ingredients and 5 hours in the kitchen. Like, it's 15 minutes or less, or I'm done. I will always find the easiest way of doing things. So when I work with clients, particularly, they often say to me, well, I don't like this. And I'm like, neither do I. It's good. We can still be healthy. Or I don't want to cook, or I hate cooking. I'm like, neither do I. Excellent. Let's do this. We can still be healthy. And I think because I'm not this perfect cook or this beautifully, presentation of all of the foods, I am able to turn around to someone and say, you don't have to do those things, but I still want to be healthy. So I find tips and tricks and tools. My air fryer is a big one. Like, I don't have kitchen gadgets, but that's something I use because it makes it easier for me to eat healthier. And so, yeah, it's interesting because people, if they see me on Facebook, I tend to post what I eat, and they're always like, wow, it just seems like so much work. And I'm like, 15 minutes or no more. That's my rule. I never spend longer than 15 minutes in the kitchen. So all these reasons why we think we can't do it is not true. You just got to find a different way. And I have found that way because I don't like doing it.
That's right. When you move around, you make yourself hungry enough. And then, like when you get good quality ingredients, you don't need to make it so fancy, right?
Nope.
Oh my God, so jealous. Like Mexico, every time I go Mexico, you guys, quality of fruits, amazing, amazing. Is that your over there cow is all the grass fat, grass finish, or what's the quality of
Yeah, so that's the one thing I really, well, there's many things I love, but like, they don't use antibiotics in any of their meats. They do, everything's got like, it's really good because they're in a situation where they can't really afford some of the fancy fertilizers and stuff like that anyway. So it was interesting when we first got here, the chicken in the grocery store is almost like a yellowy orange color. And you're like, what's happening here? And then you're like, oh, wait a second. It doesn't have any hormones pumped in it. It doesn't have any growth. Okay. So the fruit and the vegetables are amazing. It doesn't stay fresh as long. And so that one thing is a great option, but it also means we have to be much more proactive. We go to our local market or our local tienda quite often throughout the week. It's not one big shop and let it go because, well, it doesn't last. It doesn't take the time. It will die before that. So it's a great thing for us because, well, it gets us out talking Spanish in the neighborhood, but on top of that, you're constantly getting your freshest fruits in, eating them, getting more fresh in, and then eating them. So it's a great way of living for sure.
Yeah, I love it. Like supposed to be, the cow grass fat, grass finished, supposed to be cheaper than grain fat, and pasteurized chicken supposed to be lower cost than grain fat. Like amazing. And then how about supplement? Do you do supplement too?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't do a ton. Protein powder is definitely something that I have on a regular basis. As I said, I put it in my yogurt, I put it in my cottage cheese. I use collagen protein powder for different things. I take a multivitamin, as I said, a little like dripper into my drink, so it helps me drink my water as well. And that's really it. We have pre-workout and post-workout, and because I just constantly forget to take it, it's not something that I would say I do on a regular basis. But those are my main supplements. My husband takes a few other ones that he's kind of working on his own goals with, but for me, it's as I said, it's got to be as simple and basic as possible, or I just don't do it. And I know that about myself, so I make it as simple as basic as possible. So I'll do it.
Okay, so is it whey protein isolate or concentrate, or whey or beef protein, or like a vega protein? What kind of protein is it?
So I use a whey isolate protein, and a lot of that is because I find one I really like. Also because we're in Mexico, we definitely don't have the same variety of options. Now I can get Amazon.com delivered here, so I can have, and I've tried some beef proteins, some egg proteins and vegan and stuff like that. But for me, the biggest piece is taste, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to have it. But the one that I use, I really, really like, and I just get it delivered from Amazon on a regular basis.
What kind of flavor is it?
So I like the chocolate, and then I do like the vanilla for more, baking and stuff like that. But even like the collagen protein that I use is a specific Mexican brand, so it will mean nothing to you guys. But because it has no flavor, I'll put that in different things that I can have. But yeah, the chocolate is definitely my favorite.
So how to use it? Like a smoothie, or like make a chocolate cake or something, or like how to do it?
Yeah, so I do it in a few different ways. Smoothies are definitely part of it. Actually, just before I got on with you, I did like a hot chocolate. So I'll do the smoothie with, some almond milk and whisk it with my whisker and have a little bit of that way. I always have it in my Greek yogurt. I mean, Greek yogurt has no flavor, or sorry, it has a gross flavor in my opinion. So by adding the chocolate into it, I don't need to add any flavors, at the store, which I really don't love doing. So I do it that way, and I'll make like a smoothie protein bowl. Energy balls is another thing I do sometimes. Again, it's in the kitchen, so I'll put it into that. But the thing with protein powder is if you like the flavor, you can pretty much put it in so many things. If you don't like the flavor, well, then it overpowers everything. So I use it very simply, but most of the time in my smoothie bowl, or in a protein yogurt bowl.
So you guys like dairy product, milk or Greek yogurt, everything is grass fed, or did you check it?
Yeah, so you can definitely get everything. I mean, we have a Costco here. We're not living in the middle in the jungle by any stretch. So we have a Costco. So we tend to get a lot of things from Costco that are more organic, grass-fed style. That being said, in Mexico, where we are, there are also people who don't necessarily care nor have the financial means to do that. So not everything is perfection, I won't lie. I mean, Coca-Cola came in here about 25 years ago and completely changed the world of Mexico. The obesity levels spiked, sugar levels went crazy, diabetes was out of control. But because where we're at in our life, we definitely focus on, as getting as healthy and good quality that we can get. Now, the local tienda down the road, they may not have organic, everything, but I also know that they're getting it from the farm that's, a block and a half away, and they're good quality, they're not spraying. And so it's finding a kind of a balance between supporting the Mexicans and their farms, which I know are great, and then going to Costco and buying, a grass-fed beef that probably came from the US somewhere. So it's finding that balance for sure.
So do you do biohacking? You measure your HRV or your heart rate, or like do some measuring your biomarker?
So I do measurements mostly. That's my big biomarker that I use. I have had my BMR checked personally to figure out what my calories, should be. And, back when I was doing a lot of racing, I was checking my heart rate zones and stuff like that regularly. Now it's much more, I mean, I have one of these doohickeys like everybody else. It gives me a little bit of data, but for me, the biggest piece is my sleep. You mentioned meditation earlier, and for years and years and years, I resisted meditation. Like they were crazy. People were so like, who are these people doing meditation? Like, what are they talking about? And I suffered from insomnia for years and years and years. And I finally got to a point where I had to do something. And so I started meditating, and like you, it literally saved my life. I am now able to sleep through the night. I use a meditation like app every single night to get to sleep, to fall back to sleep if I wake up. And so for me, sleep is such a big part of it. So I use that as more of my marker. So if I get, 6 hours sleep, I'm super excited. Then add my nap into it, and I'm pretty happy that way. But because I don't use a scale, measurements, and then clothing size or that kind of thing tends to be more my thing. There are places here that I could go and do more. I could figure out body fat, and I could figure out all of those things. But to be honest, at the point of where I am in my life right now, I'm much more interested in how I feel. And if I feel fantastic, then I know I'm doing the right thing.
That's right. I'm just curious, what's your morning resting heart rate?
So my heart rate's changed quite a bit over the last 12 years. I mean, obviously when I met you, I was deep into one of my Ironman trainings. So I was doing running and riding and swimming every single day. And my resting heart rate back then was probably about 48. So it was very, very low. Now, genetically, I also have my family, my mom, my sisters, we have lower heart rates than normal. And now it probably sits more like a 59, sometimes a little bit lower, a little bit higher, dependent. And that's one of the things that I look at. So if I wake up and my heart rate's, up at 62, 65, then I, have to kind of really evaluate what's going on. Am I too tired? Did I work out really hard yesterday? Did I get enough sleep? And so when you say markers, that's probably, as I said, my sleep is a really big indicator for me because I suffered from insomnia for so many years, and because I've really tried to get a handle on it. If I don't sleep well and my resting heart rate isn't low, and then all of a sudden my maximum heart rate goes, like my higher heart rate when I'm working out is high, and I'm just like, what is happening? So I focus on that a little bit more. But yeah, I don't do the same type of running and biking. And I mean, here in Mexico, to be fair, where we are, we didn't even bring our bikes. It's crazy on the roads. I wouldn't even attempt to do road riding out here. People do, but I wouldn't. So it's a very different way. My husband, he runs a lot still. He loves running, and that's something that's like his therapy, as we call it. But I don't necessarily get out on the road nearly as much as I used to. And again, my body tells me so, right? So I've gone and I've ran a few times, and I hurt my foot years ago, didn't listen to it. And as you get older, and it prefers to not run long distances anymore. And so I listen to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about sleep a lot. So what is your sleep protocol? Like when do you go to bed, and then when do you wake up? Okay. Well, you told me that like 4:30 is class, but I want to know, when do you wake up, like 3 o'clock or 3:30, like how to prepare your sleep, and then what your bedroom look like, and then temperature. I have my own protocol, but I think all the healthy people, they have their own protocol. So what's your secret sauce? 3 to 5 things, your secret sauce to have a great sleep.
All right. So I think the biggest thing is to definitely have a sleep routine of sorts. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine or yours for that matter, but having a routine where your body starts realizing that you're starting to wind down to go to bed. So in my case, I have to get my kids at least in their bedroom. They're old enough that they go to bed way later than I do these days. So at least in their bedroom, give them that. I tend to drink some water before I go to bed. I have blackout blinds, which I think is a huge thing. I actually have a face mask, and I have one of those masks that listens to my meditation in mine, which happens to, so it's like a double face mask. We're very hot right now here in Puerto Vallarta, so I have to have a fan to keep the temperature lower. So that I think is a really, really important one. My meditation is the key though. I definitely feel like that's the biggest one. And then beforehand, I try to put my phone away, and I try to pick up my book and at least read or write or do something, a little bit before. And then because it's so hot, I tend to shower before I get into bed, because that helps kind of bring my body temperature down. But it's for me, it's so important to have those because of the insomnia that has lived in me for so long. That I have a sound machine because, I want to make sure that there's no noises, and I have my meditation, and I have all of these things. And for the most part, 80% of the time, I sleep perfectly well because of all of those things. Sometimes it's not always the case, but it is really good. I try to start winding down about 9:15, and I try to have my lights out by 9:45, 10. Now, I'm not perfect by any stretch, especially if my kids need me. But then because my alarm usually goes off anywhere between 4 and 4:15, that comes really quickly if you're staying up later. So it's one of those things that I tend to really try to stick with it. I'm better during the week on the weekends, even though I know my body would like me better if I stuck to my routine all the time. I do catch up on a little bit of sleep on the weekends because I don't work on Saturday and I only do a little bit of work on Sunday. So it's a little bit of extra sleep time for me during those times.
Yeah. So you measure your device watch measure your sleep, deep sleep and REM sleep.
Yes.
So how is the quality over there? And then your HRV too? You measure your HRV?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how good is your quality?
It's not fantastic. I'm not going. Sorry, let me take that back. I would like it to be better. That's probably the best thing I could say. My deep sleep is very, very limited. I don't tend to get a lot of deep sleep. My light sleep tends to be a little bit longer. I wake up still a lot throughout the night. My graph tells me that. So that is the unfortunate part. So I tend to, even if I get into one of my deep sleeps, then I kind of come back out again. It's better than it's ever been, definitely, but it's still, because I know how important sleep is in general, but especially for me, I know, the things happen when I don't get the sleep that I need. I constantly work on it. What can I do better? What can I make better? What can happen here? Now, honestly, until my kids move out of the house, I think I'll probably struggle a little bit with that because they're constantly, like my one daughter, she's old enough to be up later. She makes noise. It startles me out. And all of a sudden now I'm back to beginning. So it's a process, and it is something that I focus a lot on because I think sleep is one of those things that people very, very rarely think about. And it's such a huge part of any health journey, any weight loss journey. If you don't get the sleep, you're not going to see the results that you really, really want to see.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, sleep I really, really focus. So there's one really good book, Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker, like really good book. So yeah, so everybody should, I recommend them to read. And then I really personally, I best sleep like 8 hours a night. I like to do it. And then I love to take a nap. So I work really hard Monday to Friday. It's hard to take a nap, but weekend I love to take a nap. I love it. So my favorite sleep protocol myself is like 7.5 to 8 hours a night and 30 minutes like nap. Like that's amazing. So my deep sleep, REM sleep, amazing. And then I have so much energy, so I don't waste my time throughout whole day. Yeah. So
It's amazing. It's amazing. I find, like, for me, I never really was a napper during the day. I mean, I don't know if it was because in my head it was the lazy man's way, or if I just was like, well, I'll never be able to sleep. So what I ended up doing to get started was that I found a really great nap meditation. And what I would say to myself is, if you fall asleep, bonus. But if not, you spend 20 minutes doing a meditation, which equivalency is great for your sleep, right? So it's a win-win. And ultimately it would get to the point where, within 5 minutes of the meditation, I'd be out cold. And, next thing I know, the dings are happening and I'm out. But I think a lot of people think to themselves, one, I can't nap, I have too much to do. Or, I'm not lazy, I'm not going to nap. And they have this mindset around napping. And the truth is, it is so amazing for you and for your body, and just regenerating. And it doesn't need to be hours and hours at a time. It just needs to be those small snippets. And then again, if you do nothing but meditate for 20 minutes, hello, that's amazing, right? So that's, I think, a really when I talk to my clients about napping, they're always like, oh no, I don't nap. And I'm like, no, it's a positive thing. Like, this is a great thing. Like, let's talk about it. Or I don't nap. How can I figure that out? And so we work on, ways to get yourself napping in the middle of the day, the blackout blinds, the sound machine, this, make it feel like it's, nighttime, and then just meditate if that's what it comes down to, because that's a huge health benefit in itself. And if you don't sleep, that's okay. If you do sleep, that's okay as well. And 20 minutes later, you come up feeling much more ready to take on the day and go through whatever it is. And because, as I said, I do get very, compared to your 7.5 and 8 hours sleep, mine is definitely not as great as that. I'm lucky if I get 6.5, sometimes even less. But with that 20-minute to 30-minute nap most days, then I can bring it up, and that makes it manageable to get through the rest of the day, and also to feel better throughout the day as well.
Yeah. So do you use the melatonin or CBD?
Do I use what, sorry?
Melatonin or CBD if you don't have a good sleep or
I don't. And you know what? With somebody, because I had insomnia for so many years, my doctors always wanted to prescribe me sleep medicine. And I would always say no, because I figured if I was going to get to sleep only using sleep medicine, how would I ever get to sleep on my own? And so for me, the melatonin was the same thing. Even though I knew it was natural, and even though I knew there's positives to it, I really didn't want to do that. So I wanted to try other avenues myself. My kids, I've used kids melatonin on them before to really help them. One of my daughters has very similar sleep patterns as me. But I have never used any type of medicine or natural remedies to try to help me sleep, with the exception of, a hot apple lemon, honey tea or something like that, but never anything else. Just because I just didn't want to have to rely on it, which of course is ridiculous now because I rely on my meditation, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, very amazing. So, do you drink alcohol? Like, how often do you drink, and then what do you drink? I'm a big fan of alcohol.
I would say when we first moved to Mexico, we kind of forgot that we were living here and just thought we were on like a 3-month vacation. So yeah, I drank definitely a lot more then. But now, I could go months without drinking, but I would say probably if I do have a drink, it will be 1 or 2 beers. I'm a really big beer drinker, especially here with a little bit of lime, a Corona, it's you just can't go wrong. I don't love any type of hard liquor. I'll drink wine once in a while, but again, here, because it is so warm, I don't like white wine, so it's not something I usually do. But my husband, again, goes back and forth on the alcohol. So when he's not really drinking, I'm not really drinking, and then we just kind of don't drink together. But it goes in phases. Like, the last few weeks, I would say we've probably had a beer or 2 on the weekend. But for the most part, I drink a lot of tea. I'm not gonna lie. I drink water. But that's really it. It's more of a choice than anything else. I drank a lot more in Canada than I do here in Mexico, which seems really crazy. But I guess it was just kind of circumstances. Having a glass of wine every night for dinner when I was in Canada sounded like a nice thing. Here, it's too hot. I don't like wine. It's not that cheap like beer is. So I don't know. It just changes it a little bit.
Okay, yeah, but I love to drink every day, like little sake or little wine, and then I love beer too. But I don't do a lot. I do very little.
Yes.
If I do little, I think that as a food. If I do a lot, it's like become like drug too much.
Right. Yeah, for me, I think the biggest thing is I just don't like how I feel the next day. And whether that be, 1 beer or 16 beers, which, hasn't happened since I was a teenager, but and because I don't sleep fantastically, when you wake up from lack of sleep, you feel hungover anyway. So to add an actual feeling of alcohol in my system, I tend to try to stay clear of that, especially because I have to get up so early. And then my kids don't disappear just because I've had a few drinks, so I still have the responsibilities. And so I just don't like drinking too much, a beer here and there, no problem. I'm also a bit of a lightweight. So like 2 beers and I'm a little bit like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah, I do enjoy alcohol in terms of like going to the beach and having a beer, which we're doing tomorrow. That is on the list. So I don't not do it. We don't do it as often as we have in the past. We kind of outgrown some of that.
That's good. So everything in moderation I think is important. Yeah,
absolutely.
So now, if you can only do 10 minutes a day rest of your life, what kind of a movement exercise you would do? Only 10 minutes.
See, so if I had a magic wand and this was my choice, I would actually really focus on yoga meditation. That's what I would do for the rest of my life. But because I don't hardly do that now, I don't know how realistic of an answer that is. That's like I would love to do that. Honestly, for me, it would be more like a HIIT style workout, because I love getting my heart rate up. I love really focusing on getting that. So it's, very much, getting that cardio going, and then bringing it back into the strength training, and having to catch your breath while you're strength training. That is what I love to do. I love that type of exercise. And so that would be what I would choose, even though, as I get older, the yoga meditation sounds good. I love doing a HIIT style workout.
Yeah, you can do yoga extra, but I'm talking about the
Okay,
training.
yes, okay, good. I'll do both.
Extra. 10 minutes, 10 movement, Yeah.
Perfect. Then
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's what I would do too. I will do like push exercise, like bench press or push up or pull, like chin up or deadlift, and then like some sort of a squat or spinning, like sprinting and taekwondo, whatever, like resistance exercise, strength exercise, like HIIT type of training, everything at the same time. Like if I do only do 10 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. It's just great to, as I said, get that body moving and pumping. And I mean, you can do so much in 10 minutes. I hear people all the time, because we work in 30-minute blocks with it classes, whether it be personal training, whatever, and often people are like, is that enough time? I'm like, give me 10 minutes and you tell me if that's enough time, right? And it's like,
yeah, when you get to 170, 180 for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
how high you go up your heart rate when you train nowadays?
So nowadays, I think the highest that I've gotten recently is like a 177, 178. I have obviously been much higher than that when I've done an Ironman, it takes, 15, 16 hours to do. So over the length of that time, I've had a higher maximum. And then as you age, of course, my maximum will decrease a little bit. But I'm also more aware of too much explosive type workouts, because my body is like, no, we don't necessarily need to do it that much. But, I teach a dance fit, for example, which is, it goes against so many things that I've ever been. I've never been somebody who's loved dance and not really figured out how to get my heart rate going, where now the dance fit that I've done, I mean, over a 50-minute class, my heart rate can be, sit at 165, 167, and just coast there. And I mean, it's a hard workout, but I feel great afterwards, and it's an amazing workout. So it moves around. I tend to not stay that high very often, right? I don't want to stay too high. So I work more in that lower zone. But I like to challenge myself once in a while to see where it will go.
Yeah, me too. I used to really like to go hard. I like to suffer myself. I loved it. But nowadays, I want to balance out. I don't want to go too high, too low. Yeah, I like to go in between 145 to 165, 50% of my training, like 25% of the time, like, go hard, like 180. And then, like 25% of the time, like 120, 110. Yeah, I think that's what I like it too.
Yeah. And I think, that's the best thing. As our heart being what it is. And again, ultimately, we all want to live long, healthy heart, healthy lives. You definitely want to have that combination in between, right? You want to be able to work it. You want to be able to work it hard. You want to be able to work it a little bit less. And so it's funny when, you're talking to somebody who has a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, whatever, and you're talking to them about the different zones and trying to let them understand, like, actually, no, you don't want to be up here all the time. Like, that's actually not the place you want to be, kind of here and then here. And then, and they're like, and they see those moments where it's like, okay, well, that's good, because it's really hard to be up here all the time. I'm like, yes, I know.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too much stress. So now, if you can only eat 5 to 7 things rest of your life, what would you eat and why? 5 to 7 things.
Oh my gosh, this is like the hardest question ever. Avocado definitely has to be on that. Mango, because I love it. I just can't get enough of it. Goodness me. I would probably say chicken, even though I don't necessarily love it, but I also know that you can do a lot of great things with it. Chocolate 100% is on that list.
100% chocolate, or how many percentage? How many percent chocolate?
Yeah, I love dark chocolate. So not like 90% dark chocolate, but kind of at like 70%. I really enjoy that. We do, dark chocolate chips here for, just a little bit of a treat. So I like that. And then, oh, that's four, eh? What would be my fifth one? Oh my goodness. I don't know what the fifth one would be. It would probably have to be like a pepper or cucumber or something like that, because I love
That's six.
vegetables.
The pepper.
Yeah, six. Okay,
No,
oh goodness.
one more
I'll take
left.
away the pepper. Oh, one more left. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh,
So
if you take away a pepper, then you got two more left.
two more left. Oh my gosh. Well, the type of food would be like a taco. Like I mean, I'm in Mexico and I loved Mexican before here now, but tacos here are like the best thing in the whole wide world. And then the last one would be, let me think of this. I would probably have to say salad. It sounds really boring, but I do enjoy a good salad.
Yeah. So seventh thing, super balanced.
And well, and that's how I live my life. I mean, that's the thing, you know, as I said, we enjoy and then we focus and then we enjoy. And as I said, one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give people is, you know, healthy is not boring. It can be super delicious and super amazing. But when people think it's just steamed broccoli, rice, and chicken, well, of course that sounds boring. But it's not. You can do so many more amazing things with that. I mean, we do a lot of bean salads here because, again, it's really easy to grab a bunch of beans. They love them here. You know, taco salads because, of course, Mexico, that's amazing. So there's just, you know, so many ways to have such delicious food without having it to be boring, but to have balance and still enjoy a Corona beer every once in a while and enjoy some chocolate that's not, you know, not dark chocolate, but it's milk chocolate egg or whatever it is you want. Like there's just balance, I think, is the biggest piece that people tend to miss. They're like, it's all or nothing. I'm like, no, I mean, I've been there. I know. I mean, I lived my life that way for a long time and it doesn't work, you know, because when you're nothing, you're so far nothing. But when you're all, yeah, you can hold that for a while, but you can't maintain it for the rest of your life. It's too hard. It's too much. So then you know, go off into the all off the rails and you're going crazy. So look at the balance of it. So for me, what I do, because I am very much an all or nothing personality, I go into segments of my life for all or nothing. So for example, I'm all on my workout, and then when I rest, that's where I am. Or I go all in on my water, and then, you know, then it's like, yeah, where's my water bottle? I gotta find it. So I use that about me, about that all or nothing kind of mentality, and I put it into places in my life instead of trying to make the whole thing all or nothing, because it doesn't work.
Sounds very good. Sounds very good. So in your knowledge and experience, what is the most important thing for our quality and longevity of our life?
These are some serious questions. All right. So one most important thing, and again, I think because I have been seeing people for so many years struggle with this, I would say our mindset is such a big piece of that, right? Because you can eat all the right things and you can do all the things, but if you don't have the mindset that you can be successful, or, you know, instead of self-sabotaging, you give yourself a break. What we talk about in our business is we talk about the volume, right? So you imagine you have your stereo in your car and you turn the volume all the way up, and that's you going hard. But we get tired. We can't go hard all the time. But then what we tend to do is we quit and we just turn the radio right off. But rather than turn the radio off, just turn it down just a little bit. So if you're going hard 5 days a week and you're working really, really hard, and then all of a sudden you get tired or maybe you get sick, rather than just stop and turn the radio off, just turn it down. Maybe go to a yoga class or a Tai Chi class or do some stretching. Because then when you're ready, you can turn the volume back up again and you're in a place where you can kind of, you know, put on as much volume as you want and that you can handle at that time. But we tend to go all forward. And that's the only way in our brain to get the results. And then because that's overwhelming and that's crazy and our bodies are like, we can't do it. And our food is too perfect and we can't figure it out. Then we just turn the radio off, we run and hide. And well, that's not going to help us either. So if you have the idea that you can do it, baby steps, right? We work a lot with habits, taking those habits, you know, starting one, adding it with a habit you already do, like brushing your teeth, take your vitamin, you know, go for a pee, do a few push-ups, like doing something and then working to that next level. And then gradually you can increase that volume. And then if you need to, decrease it again, and you can play with that volume over your entire lifetime with never turning it so loud you can't hear or never turning it completely off that you're not doing anything. So with that balance of that mindset, I think that it really is the key, because all the other pieces will fall into place. As I call them, the anchor. Once that anchor is set, all the other pieces will fall into place, as long as you're in a place where you can focus here and then have them. But when we go, oh, we have to do it all, we get overwhelmed, we tend to quit. So if we have a good mindset, we focus on that volume, then longevity wise for our entire life. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I plan to do it for another 20 years, if not longer. By the time I'm that age, hopefully I'll be a bionic woman. I don't know what's going to happen up there, but I want to do it for as long as I possibly can. Right? Functionally, I want my body to work, right? I want to be able to walk up and down stairs. I want to be able to play with my grandchildren. And that to me becomes the most important piece of the puzzle, not the scale, not the way my body happens to look that day, none of those things, but the longevity of our life is focusing on the things that you can control, volume up, volume down, and having a really good mindset going into it.
That's good. That's good. I train nowadays are a lot smarter than before, eat a lot smarter than before. So I think myself, when I continue to do this way, I have pretty confidence. I think I could live 90 to 128, nice and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like with a combination of listening to your body, eating well, moving and having a good lifestyle, as well as how things are changing in our world in general, I think confidently, as long as I am in a good place and I don't require oxygen to breathe, or I don't require, maybe my mind isn't there or whatever, I think 100 plus easily. I really believe that we are now in a time where we can control so much of what we take in and what we control and what we eat, what we put on our skin, what we do, that we have never seen ages that we're seeing now. I mean, you've seen 110-year-old happy birthday songs on the internet all the time. And I think that, that is what we can control. And I think that that's an amazing thing. And I mean, 123, you'll be awesome by then. It'll just be getting better and better and better, right?
Yeah, I think so. I will be still be able to do push up, taekwondo, a lot of things. I think I have confidence because so far I don't get any injury, and then I have not get sick for a while. I feel so good.
Right.
Yeah. So if you can say 20 years old of yourself, what kind of advice you would give yourself?
So I'm going 20 years that way, or I'm going 20 years behind?
20 years old this way, like younger yourself. And then so when you have an opportunity to go back, okay, 20 years old yourself, hey, Lindsay, what kind of advice you would give?
I would definitely tell myself not to care what anybody else thinks. That's for sure. Now when I'm older, I can see that for sure. Don't go as crazy as I did back in my 20s, because my body does suffer from it a little bit. And then listen to my body. Back when I was between that 20 and 30 age, I didn't listen very well. I always say to my clients, and I say to myself, our bodies whisper to us all the time, right? They whisper, oh, that shoulder, oh, that's feeling like, it whispers, oh, that food really made my tummy feel funny. Whisper, whisper, whisper. If you don't listen to the whispers, it's going to scream at you, and it's going to tell you that you just got to stop. So I would say to myself 20 years ago, listen to the whispers, because they know what they're talking about. And if you listen to them, you'll never be in a place where they're screaming bloody murder at you, and then you have to stop or not finish a race, or, stop eating whatever it is that you were eating. And so, yeah, always listen to the body when it's trying to tell you something would be a big piece of advice.
Yeah, I learned. I agree with you too. So what are the top 3 things you learned past 2 years?
Oh my goodness, the past 2 years, these have been the craziest 2 years ever, really, almost, right? So, for us, because we live a very unconventional life, and we did that ourselves. We decided we wanted to live outside of the norm. We wanted to get outside of the box, and we wanted to become, this traveling family that could live in Mexico and thrive and have an amazing time. For me, the biggest thing is, try even when it's scary, because we talked a little bit before we went on. I'm learning Spanish and I'm getting better at Spanish, but one of the things that I'm really struggling with at the beginning was actually talking to Spanish to a Spanish native speaker, because I would always be like, oh, they're going to hate my accent. Do they even know what I'm saying? So definitely just get out of your comfort zone and do it, even if you're gonna make a fool of yourself, because at least you're trying. And then I think too, with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, I mean, we obviously have lived in a beautiful place over the last, 14, 15 months when it's been on, but just be grateful for what you have. I mean, my girls are healthy, I'm healthy, my husband's healthy, we live in an amazing place. We didn't get affected by the pandemic the same way as other people may have. But we got to spend so much time together, with schools getting canceled and extracurricular activities getting canceled. We had to slow down, and we really had to be in a place where, we had to enjoy each other's company, and we had to have fun with each other, and we had to find different ways to experience things that we thought, we couldn't experience. And so those, in the last 2 years have been pretty amazing. And because of that, I got to be in contact with so many of people that I've worked with and worked around over the last 20 years, because they needed to figure out how to get their businesses online. It was really wonderful to be able to reconnect with people and work with them that way, because, everybody is successful in their own way. And, people really they're like, well, aren't you going to be concerned that more people are online and, they're going to take, and I'm like, no, I mean, like there's millions of people for everybody. I mean, somebody who works with me is not necessarily going to work with you, and vice versa. And that's the beauty of being, open with other people that are in the same industry and supporting them and being, helping them along the way. And I just think that this last 14 months with the pandemic has really shown more people that, but I have definitely learned that as well.
So what is the one thing or you understand that other fitness, health, and wellness professional they don't practice that you think they should practice?
Oh, so I wouldn't say there's so many, but there's definitely a lot. I really think habits is the key. And fitness professionals that I have seen, you try to change everything all at once. You have this poor woman come to you and she wants to lose weight so desperately. And then they throw all of these things at her. And this woman, she may work for 2 or 3 months and then she quits and she walks away, because we push hard. And I was just as guilty of it, early in my career, where it was like, you got to do it this way. You can't do it any other way. This is the only way. Where now it's almost more of like a give and a take, a receive and a push. And if you push too hard, they're going to run away. And that doesn't help anybody. So you have to know that sometimes giving it a little bit of hard love, don't get me wrong, that's important, but watch how much, and work on those habits and focus on what they can do moving forward in a small increments, because it will get easier if they work on it small and in the big picture. And I just wish a lot of people would look at it from that perspective, because it's like, change everything, you'll be perfect in 20 days. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. So
Yeah, that I think we need to do that too. Like a lot of the fitness industry, like no pain and no gain.
Yes, exactly. And that was, I was my opinion years ago. I remember very specifically. I mean, the story about puking into like getting your clients to puke. That was the way. And I lived and breathed that too. But now I look at that and you're just like, it's not no pain or go. Now for me, it's like, you should not feel any pain. You should not. Yes, you can get out of your comfort level. And absolutely, you should have oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that mentality, but not pain. That's no.
Yeah, that's
longevity.
right.
That is not where we want to go.
Yeah, pain is very personal. Like someone like you and I, 180, 170, we don't feel pain. We love it. But doesn't mean that your new client, that they should go 180, 170. They can start 120 beats per minute,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So what are the top 2 most important book everyone should read? One for just any book, one for health and wellness book.
Okay, so mine are going to be a little bit probably different than most, because I very much focus on habits and very much focus on the mindset thing. The 2 that I really believe go hand in hand, whether it be personal or fitness and wellness journey. One is called The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin, and it talks about our personalities, and it's similar to what color is your parachute and what is your love language, but it goes so much deeper than that. And for the longest time, my personality was, I could never get to do things without somebody else is there. So you'll see people who would go to the gym, and I would say very much like yourself, you would go, you would do the work and you would get it done and nobody else had to help you out. And I couldn't do that. And I was like, why can't I do this? I'm such a loser. Like, that's how I felt. I read this book, I realized where I sat in this personality chain, and I realized how different I might have been to somebody else who would be that way. So it is what she calls the 4 tendencies. I highly recommend it. It has helped me with my daughter, who's 13, my husband, my clients, and mostly myself, because I'm able to figure out what I know and what I can do moving forward. And then the second one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think it's a really, really important book for people to understand that, as I said, because I'm very focused on habits, making small changes, focusing on those things that you read the book, and a lot of the things I talk about is what he teaches about. And it's a really interesting, like, oh, whew, I don't have to do it all. And I think once you let somebody understand that, it actually just lifts this, like, the idea of it's impossible off them, and it becomes possible because they don't have to do everything all at once. And now we're saying to you, you can do this, you can do this. So Atomic Habits, James Clear, one of my favorites.
Thank you. What are the top 3 to 5 things you tell your client to do, you should do? 3 to 5 things for everybody.
3 for everybody. So I want them to move. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean exercise. It means move, do some walking, do something. Don't make it a big deal. That's number 2. Like, you don't have to be in the perfect clothes. You don't have to wear the perfect face. You don't have to have the perfect, temperature. Just do something. It doesn't have to be perfect. Definitely water, I think, is a huge one. Focus on your water, get your water up, I was gonna say, you've been drinking, and I don't know where my water bottle is, but drink it. Sleep, focus on it. That's a huge one. Focus on it and find ways that you can get better at it. Just like we try to get better at exercise or riding a bike or swimming, better at sleep is super, super important. And then the last one is find something you really like to do, right? I'm not going to tell somebody to go run if they hate running. If somebody says to me, I absolutely hate doing dance class, I'm not going to be like, go to the dance class. No, it's finding the things. And this includes eating. Like, I don't turn around and say, you got to eat tomatoes. Oh, I hate tomatoes. I don't care. You got to eat them. No, there's thousands of other things you could eat. There's thousands of other movements you could do. So find something that you enjoy, because once you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. So those are the big ones that we focus on for sure.
Amazing. What did you plan for next 6 months to 2 years? What did you plan?
6 months to 2 years. Well, we're moving in about 3 weeks. So that's the first thing. We're actually moving out of Puerto Vallarta into more central Mexico. We're going from the beach to the mountains. So that's super exciting. So that will be interesting from a family perspective, which I love. But I think in general, we're really trying to figure out now how to work smarter, not harder, which of course is what we tell our clients all the time. We're both, my husband and I and my other business, we're very busy, and I love what I do, don't get me wrong, but I also want to figure out ways that I can help as many people as I can without working 95,000 hours in a week. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's that constant go. So now it's trying to figure out what we can do to get a little bit larger of a reach. I mean, we are worldwide, but what else can we do? And then what can we do that's not necessarily going to be time. Oh, here's my client, here's my next session, here's my next session, here's my next session. So I have a book plan in place. That's something that I am working on for 2021. So that will be definitely in the next 2 years. And so, yeah, it's going to be exciting times. What that actually looks like yet in my brain, I don't exactly know, but we are definitely trying to focus on smarter, not harder, moving into our world so that we can enjoy also living and enjoying, which we do, but a little bit more, so that it's not just time focused, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I mean, you know what it's like. It's constantly going, and then break, quick, I need to eat my food, and then off you go again. And so I want to do a little bit more smarter, not harder moving forward.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And then I would highly recommend someone, like they never done online business. I think they should contact you to learn. Do you have any mentorship program?
So officially, no. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
You're charging them, like
Yes, yeah. We have quite a few people that we have helped over the last 6 to 12 months, just with everything that went on with the pandemic. And it actually is not super challenging to get done. It's just sometimes like the confidence of doing it. As I said, I was very skeptical trying to bring my business online. You know, how do you do it without helping and touching and being a part of it? And now what I find the biggest thing is that it takes the excuses away from people that have excuses, which, you know, excuses are valid. My kid was up all night. I couldn't find a babysitter. You know, like we have these reasons, but when you just open your computer and all of a sudden there you are sweating and working. And then because of the accountability and the motivation, it's just like a session that you would go to in the gym, minus the traffic and the weather and all of these other things. So the answer is yes, absolutely. That's a possibility. Do we have anything official? Like you go check on the website? No, it was much more people reached out and were like, we need some help figuring out how to get online. And I was like, absolutely. What can we do? So yes is the short answer.
So how people can find you?
So right now you can find us at hacktivefit.com. So we are the Hacks. My name is Lindsay and my husband is Ben. So we are Hacktive. We have an Instagram and Facebook. I'm not going to lie, it's not super active because we focus a lot on word of mouth. And because we're so busy, it's really hard to kind of keep adding more things to it. But you can definitely find us on our website, on Instagram, on Facebook under Hacktive. It's been such a whirlwind that we kind of did the social media thing after we were already really busy. And so it's been one of those things where, you know, we've talked about doing videos and we've talked about doing all these great things to build our business. But right now we really don't have to do much of that without having to build our business anymore. So you can find us there. There's some information on it, but definitely if you want to reach out, I'm on Facebook as Lindsay Hack, probably the easiest way. You know, I'm also on Instagram, Lindsay Hack as well. So you can always reach out to me that way too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this one. Like I learned so much from you. I love your great energy, your presentations. You look so professional. And then like I personally have like tons of questions like that I want to ask, but you know, like I said to you, you know, I'm gonna do interview 1 hour, so I'm keep watching your time. I know weekend you're busy. So is there anything you want to say?
Well, I want to thank you, first of all. As I said, we've connected kind of obviously for years, but it's been nice to just kind of get back in, and I've been following you, and you know, it's been great to see you grow and do the things that you're doing. My daughter actually is into Taekwondo, and now every time she talks to me, I'm like, oh, you know, I when I years ago, and she's like, really? And so we pull up pictures, and I show her stuff like that. So that's always really fun. She's now officially a blue belt. She's super excited. And yeah, so she's doing great things with that, and she loves it. She's trying to convince me to do it as well. So this will be the next thing for me. I don't know. I'm not sure my body can handle it, but I might try.
Try family class. I think they have a family class, and then, you know, start easy. I think you can practice. Everybody can slowly run or, you know, cycling. I think Taekwondo too.
Awesome. I'm excited.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and your energy.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
let's, okay.